All right, all you positive heads, on this week's Soul Share episode, we have something very special in store for you. I have Neale Donald Walsch, who played a huge role for me personally, and I'm sure many of you in remembering that we are all one with the source consciousness that creates and animates all things. And in case you don't know, Neale is the author of the acclaimed Conversations with God book series, which spent years on the New York Times bestseller list, as well as the author of 30 other books that have been translated into 37 languages and reach millions of souls all around the globe. Hello, Neale. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Brendan. It's lovely to be here. How may I serve you?
Well, you showed up, so we're off to a good start. You have definitely been on the top of my list of someone I wanted to speak to for many years. Huge role in my own journey, and this podcast. So thank you for the work that you've done. And I would like to start with my cliche opening question. It is this. You're in an elevator. The woman next to you looks over, says, "What's your passion?" You have 10 floors to answer. What do you say?
Change the word. Change the world's mind about God. Change the world's mind about God. That's 7 words.
We've got 9 floors left, and she can ponder that, depending how fast the elevator is. I definitely can say that you have done a good job at doing that, and let's get into that. Before we do, I would like, if you would, share, for those who haven't read any of your books and don't know your backstory, whatever feels relevant to share, to give some context, if you would.
Sure. Somewhere in 1994 or late 1993, I can't recall the exact month, but my relationship with my then spouse, a lovely, lovely lady, who I will always adore, but we decided we needed to bring our marriage to a conclusion. I was very sad about that, but I agreed to move out and find my own place. It was not an acrimonious separation, but we just decided to do it. Mm-hmm. And but 5 days later, I was downsized out of a job. I thought I was doing a good job here, and my supervisor said, "No, we love your work. Actually, you're really good at what you do, but you were the last in. You're just a recent hire, and so we had to cut staff." We have to downsize, and last in, first out, matter of seniority. So we have to let you go. Right. So now within 5 days, I'm losing my marriage and losing my job. But that wasn't enough. Brandon. The world wasn't finished with me. 4 days after that, within the same 9-day period, an elderly gentleman turned in front of me in his car, made a left turn across my lane as I was ambling down the road. And I'm a very, very slow driver. Everyone who knows me complains, in fact, my gosh, what a slow poke. But I'm poking along 25 miles an hour. But this guy, I guess he thought he could make the turn. And he turned right in front of me and smashed into my car, caused a huge accident. He amazingly escaped injury, but I did not. Wow. I suffered a broken neck and not a hairline fracture. I recall the wording of the report specifically. It said that I had suffered a 3/4 inch avulsion fracture of the 7th cervical vertebrae posteriorly. That is a 3/4 inch break in the back of my neck, large enough to put a pencil through.
Wow.
So, of course, they rushed me to the hospital. And I was treated and I was sent home. The doctor did say to me when I woke up, he said, "What are you going to do with the rest of your life?" He said, "Because you should, by all other factors, you shouldn't be here." Most people who suffer a broken neck either die instantly, or at the very least, they're paralyzed from the neck down, especially with a 3/4 inch fracture of your neck. He said, "You amazingly escaped both outcomes. You may want to consider what you want to do for the rest of your life." Wow. So I went back to my little apartment, which I had just managed to get. A friend of mine had a little apartment over a garage that his grandmother's, what they call a grandma place. And he threw me in there as a place to, at least be for a while. I was looking for more permanent lodging. after the end of my marriage. And I'm lying in this garage top apartment. And after having suffered, and I'm wearing a Philadelphia collar, by the way. They put me in naturally a Philadelphia collar, which is a therapeutic device that you wear. I had to wear it for a year and a half. I was not allowed to take it off for showers or for sleeping for any reason.
Year
at all.
and a half?
Yeah, I had to wear it for over, something like 13 or 14 months anyway. It was over a year.
Wow.
That I was required to wear it before my neck would refuse. They had to fuse it again because they did not want to put in artificial cartilage. So your neck will heal. Your broken bones will heal themselves if you give them long enough time. But now I'm lying in my apartment wearing this contraption around my neck, and I woke up at 4:30 in the morning one day, and I couldn't sleep. Went out to my little tiny living area away from the bedroom. Picked up a yellow legal pad that I happened to have down there for a grocery list. And I began writing a very, very angry letter to God. What does it take to make life work? I can recall sitting there writing, what have I done to deserve a life of such continuing struggle? And then the last question I asked, I was writing so hard, pressing so hard on this legal pad. You probably could have read the writing 6 pages deep for the impression I was making. Tell me the rules. I said, what are the rules? I'll play. I said, I'll play the game. Just tell me what the damn rules are.
Right.
Because I clearly did not understand the rules of this process called life. And that's when I began hearing answers. I could have sworn there was someone over my shoulder in the room. Of course, there wasn't. But the impression of the voice was so clear that it felt physical to me. But of course, it was in my mind. And the answer I received was, Neale, do you really want answers to all of these questions? Or are you just venting? I can recall sitting there on the couch. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm saying, yeah. Do you think I am venting? Yeah. But if you've got answers, I'd sure as hell like to know what they are.
Wow.
I didn't even know who I was talking to, but I thought I was, just answered this voice in my head. So if you've got answers, I'd sure as hell like to know what they are. And God said, wouldn't you rather be sure as heaven? And I said, what's that supposed to mean? And then I began having this, if you please, dialogue with this voice in my mind. And I kept on asking questions. It kept on answering the questions. So I was in this experience of question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. I was writing down all the answers I was receiving, taking dictation, really. It was very much like taking dictation because I was so fascinated about what was happening. I didn't want to lose what I want to use the word receiving. So I wrote in longhand every answer I received. This went on for a couple of hours. And then I ran out of yellow legal pad space. I ran to the drugstore the next day or later that day. I think it was a Saturday, as I recall. Ran to the drugstore and picked up 4 or 5 more legal pads, brought them home, and continued the dialogue, which ultimately became what turned into Conversations with God, Book 1. Now, I've been asked many times, why did you send it to a publisher? What would cause you to send your handwritten notes to a publisher? I was told in the dialogue, Brandon, you will make of this one day a book, and it will be read by many people. It will be accessed, were the exact words. It will be accessed by many people. And I thought to myself, yeah, of course. Sure, I can just see a publisher. I would just send these notes, even if I typed them out. I would send them to a publisher, and he would say to his editorial staff, "Hold the presses, stop everything.
New Bible.
I got a guy here who's talking to God."
Yeah.
But I knew it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't a chance in the world. But in fact, a small publisher, I sent it to 5 publishing houses. A small publisher on the East Coast, Hampton Roads Publishing, did call me, and they said, "We'd like to put your book out." I said, "You're kidding me." They said, "No, we love it. We'd like to change the title. No one's going to believe it. Conversation with God, but it's a great work of fiction." I said, whoa. You're not publishing this as a novel, are you?" He said, "Yeah, about a guy who goes off and has a exchange with the Lord. I said, no. This actually happened to me.
Yeah.
You either put it out as a work of fact, not fiction, but as a nonfiction book, or you don't publish it at all. He said, let me see if I understand. You're going to turn down a publishing contract for your first book because we don't have it in the right category? I said, that's correct.
Yeah.
That is correct, because it's not a work of
Wouldn't
fiction.
have been authentic. Yeah.
And I will not have anyone think that it's fictional.
Yeah.
He said, okay, well, we're gonna have to change the title because people are going to be pushed back by the title, Conversations with God. I said, no, we're not changing the title either. You either publish it as titled Conversations with God, or you don't publish it at all. He said, wow, for a never published author, first time guy, you're kind of hard. I said, you know what? You called me. I didn't call you.
Good friends with God, so,
I said, you called, notice who called who. You called me. He said, yeah, but you sent us the material. I said, fair enough. Do you want to publish it as a nonfiction book called Conversations with God, or don't you? This is a really very simple conversation. And he kind of sighed and said, well, okay, but it's not going to have a lot of sales. And he was right, of course. It didn't have a lot of sales. The initial sales were only 5 million.
That's all. Oh.
Well, it was more like 1 million, because it grew to 5 million at the end of the year in 37 languages. So, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Wow. What a story.